People who don't write are not just weirdos, but a problem to society. You're telling me you can't write a single sentence, one sentence about your day, whether physically or typing it out? Then what are you doing with your life? Hello. If you don't know me, my name is Arnel Arcega. I'm one of the healthiest authors and writers on this platform. As such, I educate people on how to read and write so that they can not only improve their language and literature, but become better writers in the long run. This video idea came to me in a dream one time when I was actively trying to picture a world where everyone had journals, and for some reason everyone was so much happier and healthier. Then I woke up from that dream and soon realized that 90% of the population is consumed by phones, and I can't blame them. In this video, I want to discuss that topic, and if you want personal help to become a better writer by yourself, then check out my Instagram down the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well. Let's get started on writing, because I firmly believe many of us know what it is, have heard about it, have done it, but aren't doing it in the way that best benefits them. When I was younger, I absolutely despised my handwriting. You can see this in my notebook I've had a month ago. Maybe it's not the best quality, but all of my life, no one could have read my handwriting. It is bad, to say the least. Here, I'll show up a picture of my handwriting up close, but from the image, you can tell that when I was growing up, I didn't have the best writing skills. And to this day, that still rings true, but in a different light entirely. The reason why I started this video so aggressively is because when I consider writing, those who don't write and those who do, there's a huge difference in the creativity, success, and the contributions they make to society. I often bring up society this, society that, but if we're going by the individualistic problems of many of us around, it's the fact that we are doing this. We're doing too much talking and less of this. I have the pen and I have the paper. All you need to do is write about an idea. And that was a thing that I've struggled with a lot when I was younger. Typically, that came the case because I never finished my works. In the past, I have my journals up here. So these were the journals I actively finished. My first ever journal was one that I took out of a school notebook and only finished about halfway through. I've had these ideas of making these gigantic writings, and that's what made me write my first ever book. Regardless though, in the case of physically writing things down, however, I hated my writing so much that I called people who wrote the weird ones. And yet, as truth prevails, time progresses, I soon realized that writing is a peaceful and meditative activity that makes you more intelligent and at peace with yourself. The reason why many of us scroll and the reason why we are so distracted with everyday life is because we can't figure out the problems going on inside of here. I often find myself struggling to sleep because of these problems in my head. And that case came to me because I've stopped journaling. This journal I had here for the past month of December was one that I've carefully written every thought down. I made sure to write anything and everything that came to mind. However, at the start of January, I stopped doing it because it was too hard. Now that we've reached over 2 weeks into January, I've soon realized that if we want to build on our own writing, we have to start now more than ever before. Society this, society that, as I explained earlier, but in the case of writers, we often look down on it because of how it is. Writing is a thing in school we're taught to do fast. We are taught to type fast, get our work done in class, or else we have homework. And then if we have more homework, we have to journal or write about it. Or in a different case of growing up, we had this gender difference. What I mean is girls were taught to have diaries, to write down all the little thoughts they had for this cute guy they met. And for guys, you are supposed to be athletes, getting out in the sun. Don't do the bullshit stuff about writing and doing all that dumb BS. No, I want to argue no. As I've been learning and growing as an individual this past week, I've learned that writing is for everyone. I can be serious and say that society treats writers terribly. It gives out little money. It gives out little respect to those who deserve it. But for the love of God, if you're trying to come up with an idea or trying to come up with a problem, many of the greatest people in our lifetime did this. They had a pen, they had paper, and started jotting ideas. That was what created the many works you see in the world today. Some of the greatest musicians wrote down their music. We wouldn't have the greatest pop music if it wasn't for the Beatles, and the Beatles wrote down their music. They wrote it physically down and not on their phones or not in a place they had it. Now obviously they didn't have that type of technology back then, but this advice may seem crucial to you. If you're trying to come up with an idea, let's say getting a business started, you can't get the business started by simply talking about it. Yes, it builds upon success, but you need to have the patience and time to write it down. I'm so confused why people in our life tell us they want to do this and this without even writing the goals down. I'm a goal-oriented man. However, I see when society has this problem in which we don't do anything about it. We love spending our time just immediately working, immediately getting a job, but we're not taking the time to sit down and actively write something special. That is because, as I've explained with those two analogies, writing is looked down upon whether because you're a guy or because it's schoolwork. And that is disappointing. I remember coming up with my first journal a few years back and I thought it was weird. I explained that failure of a journal, but the first ever one I actively completed is right up here. It was one that I physically wrote down all in pen, and even though the writing is still not great, I've learned a lot of things about my goals, what I've learned about myself, and the things that truly matter to me. A few days ago, actually, I was writing about an idea that seems extremely cryptic and disturbing, but one that opened my eyes up. It was looking at the 10 worst ways to die in history, many of the obvious such as guillotine, poison, and so on. But the more I just sat there with my thoughts, the more creative my mind flowed. And eventually, I had better sleep that night more than any night of my entire life this year. Writing affects the real world. It affects the mind. And we're trying to build on this futile world in which we're stuck looking at social media or having instant gratification with AI. Then I'm telling you, the best way we combat this is to literally write these ideas down. I may be more aggressive than usual in this video, which makes sense, but returning to the concept and the topic in which the people who don't write are weirdos, it's easy to note that that reason is because of how writing is treated. Why aren't you writing about your day? Or hell, why aren't you writing about any and all ideas that pop in your head? Think about that cute person you met a while ago, and then think about things that you could plan if you want to go out somewhere. You can't just immediately think about it and always resonate in your head. Physically write this down, because the more that sharpens your mind, the better and more confident you become. It fits with everything. I write down my workout schedules every day so I know exactly when I'm going to do it. And even with our modern technology like computers, tablets, and as the aforementioned phones, still use that to write down ideas. I don't want you spending another minute scrolling for the next YouTube video, scrolling for the next TikTok hit, and so on. The problem becomes less of those who don't write and more of those who continue doing habits like scrolling or wasting time for the sake of wasting time and not writing it down. The moment I stopped writing about my days daily, everything became dull. I soon felt hazy and I lost track of everything I was doing up to this point. But I guarantee the moment I start writing again, the moment I begin writing my ideas, whether it's in a physical book, a journal, or even just writing what the hell I'm thinking about, that is what builds success. Remember, all the greatest historians and people out there in the world wrote the best ideas they can so that they can do what it takes. That's why scripting matters. And that's why even though people say writing is at the lowest echelon in terms of industries and success, you still should do it because of how our world is. We should write about AI and how that is affecting things for better and worse. We should write about ideas that will fuel our own success, our own ventures, and our own reminders that these things, journals, books, whatever kind of writing you want to do in your life, will be remembered and cherished for the time you go. I want to be remembered for these books. I want to be remembered for everything I've written, whether physically or typed away on a computer. That is what makes me proud. And to simply put, that is the greatest achievement anyone can do. To be remembered through the words you've written or said or whatever. If you want to be able to share out your knowledge, your education, your dreams to the world, then I'm telling you, you need to write about it. And if you don't, you become a weirdo just as everyone else is, and you don't want that. You want to build success in your own way. So pick up the damn pen and start writing. I hope you enjoyed this short but extremely on the point video. It's been one that I've been holding back on for a while because I've just been so angry and mad at the world around me that is distracted and often criticizing everything writing is and does. So I'm telling you, if you want to improve your life, then this is the easiest way to start. Write about the things that actively make you upset, and write for the sake of writing because it solves more problems than one. Less of this and more of this. If you want personal help to write your own physical story, whether fictional or non-fictional, then check out my Instagram down in the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well. I am Arnel Arcega, and until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.